Hello and welcome back to some Transport Fever 3 news. I've got you an exciting new article which was actually released on the 25th of June, but I thought I would cover it as I haven't seen a lot of people covering the article, so it's definitely worth a look. You'll notice that I have screen recorded essentially the article, and we're going to go through it and pause as we go through. Reason being, there's so many ads on the actual site that it just doesn't make too much sense. So the article is by Gaming Bolt. It's posted by Joel Daniels on the 25th of June, and it was basically an interview about Transport Fever 3, the new features, new industries, new environments, and more. The developers of Urban Games were kind enough to answer some of the questions about its upcoming transport simulation game. So before we get into it, just let me know the Transport Fever 3 feature that you are most excited for, because I can tell you what mine is once we get into this. So let's start by having a look at this article. First of all, we've got the picture of these trams going through this kind of urban street traffic light controlled junction. Bus here, that looks like a little Tesla to me. Nice hedgerows and stuff like that. Good, looking good. So what does it say? While Urban Games have been at work on the second follow-up to its Transport Fever franchise, the studio's company manager Sam Bennett, shout out to Sam Bennett, was kind enough to answer a few of our questions. Subjects we got an answer from range from some of the new features what we expect from Transport Fever 3 to more involved ones such as how agent-based citizenry affects gameplay and the unique challenges offered by the game's various environments. So the first things that we're going to look at are: what are some of the big new features that we'll see in Transport Fever 3 when compared to its predecessors? Right, so we now have day and night cycle is confirmed. Tick, we saw that in the trailer. Awesome, glad that we've got that. Second thing, helicopters. That was really exciting to see in the trailer. So we've got that, which is also another big tick. Warehousing, we'll come on to that a little bit later on because there are a few things that gets discussed about warehouses, but what I will say is your warehouses might get a little bit stinky if you're not very good at transporting your goods. Landmarks, this is my most exciting feature. This is what I want to see because I really like making tourist-based passenger transportation. So hopefully this will help us out with that. Contracts also confirmed, just to give you kind of an idea of what this could be, not confirmed though. They could help you make a bit of money early game by telling you to connect two cities together with a transport route. Later game it could have you, somebody from the government or a mayor of a town would say, I want you to set up a train line between these two places to transport these people. So you would set those up and they would pay you some money for completing that task. Another alternative is the mayor of a town could say, we're flying in a lot of VIPs on planes from a different city. We need to set up a fast private jet flight and we'll get you loads of money. So yes, contracts are going to be interesting. We want to know more information about that. That is exciting news. Player reputation as well, that is a new feature which will, in my opinion, it's going to be fun. A lot of people might not like it, but it is what it is. But I'd like to think it runs similar to the current demand that we have. So emissions, traffic build-up, crowded stations and stuff will have a negative effect on your player reputation, but obviously positive things like moving people around, keeping the traffic flowing, all of those various stuffs, nice frequency on the line and things like that will make your reputation go up, and I'd like to think with player reputation you'll get some benefits. So that is exciting. More than individual features, it makes more sense to think in the terms of the overall evolution of the game. In the past, the tycoon aspect of the game has been the area most in need of a significant upgrade. We've had this great transport building game, but it's never quite worked as a challenging tycoon. To create a meaningful and fun tycoon experience, you need to lean into the decision making. Making one choice might benefit your profits, but it's going to hurt you in other ways. That's an interesting and bold statement, and I like the way that they've answered the question but not given too much away. And I think that's kind of key and based around the player reputation. Doing one thing might make your reputation go up. but could affect other aspects. Same with contracts. Your contracts could affect your player reputation as well. So yes, but if you're building ginormous landmarks around your cities, that might boost your reputation. Who knows? We don't know yet, but it's certainly very exciting news. In the article, here's obviously another nice screenshot that they've pulled. This beautiful looking train running on this electrified train line. Nice trees, bushes, rocks. Nice country road here with a factory set up over here. This mountainous terrain and the blue skies. We'll talk about the mountainous terrain because there's a little bit about terrain that we're going to talk about shortly. But moving on. So, based on the quote that we've had this great transport building game, but it's never quite worked out as a challenge in Tycoon. So the response is, to that end, from a gameplay perspective, we've made the Tycoon experience our primary objective. That said, we don't want existing players to miss out on what they love doing, so all the mod support, customization, creative build options continue in the game. And they've all been given attention as well. The game has never looked better, and we believe with its latest version, it's never played better either. So there are a few very, very important things here. If you are into simulation games, city building games, stuff like that, like I am, we will know how important mod support is, not only for the players, but for gameplay and stuff like that. There's a certain city building game which neglected this, and that game has gone down in a ball of flames at the moment. Hopefully they redeem themselves. But to see that the Urban Games team are focusing on mod support, customization, creative build options, that's really good to see. They're very important parts of the game, and without mods it would be a different game, really. So great to see. We can still add us as players, we can still add our personal spin on it by adding mods and customizing things, which is absolutely perfect. They also say that the game has never looked better, which is good. That means a graphics upgrade. And we believe it's never played better, so they've obviously worked on the fundamentals as well. So positive. So next up we move on to the environments. So how will some of the environments offer unique challenges for players in terms of logistics and planning out routes? So terrain and environment are major areas of focus in the game. Historically, our map generator did a good job at making different environments, but there were very clear similarities between them. This came out of the map generator being engineered. Transport Fever 3, we made a philosophical change here. That's a recurring theme, changing the way we thought about the systems in the game. Instead of map generation being led by the engineering team, it's been reworked by our designers. So there are a few points in here that we'd like to talk about. So obviously terrain and environment's been a major focus on the game. Transport Fever 3 2, we've got 3. Dry, tropical, and temperate. I'm not going to say that we're going to get Arctic snow themes, but we are getting Arctic snow themes as well. So we're going to get at least an extra one environment. On the map generator, I just want to say that I thought the map generator in Transport Fever 2 is really good. I really like it. So yeah, I agree. Their previous map generator did a really good job, but this is where you can kind of see that the caliber that Urban Games are working at. They've literally completely revamped their design. They completely shifted the responsibility of map generation to a whole different department, which is a massive change, and it's a really important change. It's not something that they would have done lightly, but they're clearly making this huge change because they care about the game and they want it to be brilliant. So the fact that they're doing this, it shows that they're putting their heart and soul into it, really thinking about it. So that's very, very positive indeed. So we look forward to seeing what the map generator is going to look like. Well done, Urban Games, well done. So continuing on from the environments, environment generation now pays close attention to how geography works in reality. Temperate environments realistically transition from mountain ranges taller than we've previously had, which we've seen from some of the screenshots and the trailers, down towards open fields and forests as they get closer to sea level. Awesome. Obviously with rivers and lakes flowing the full topographical reality, which is good to see. In a dry environment, the nature of erosion leads to the same fundamental features, mountains and rivers, being handled very differently because erosion works differently in reality. So we're going to have a lot of differences between the maps themes, which is going to be very fun. The upshot is that each environment plays very differently. Navigating lowland swamps is a very different challenge to running a riverside passenger lane, and that is very different to hauling a massive freight train over the top of a canyon. This all sounds very exciting, I can't lie. Furthermore, the way in each environment is seeded alters the mix of sub-biomes in a natural way, making the result less predictable. So 3 different subarctic maps will have 3 very different feels to them. All of this adds to the range of gameplay challenges players will experience. So there's so much in there. We're getting new environments, they're going to look different, the maps are going to look insane, they're going to be more realistic to what you'd actually expect in real life. It looks like you can get sub kind of biomes within certain maps potentially. Well, we've seen that because there's massive mountains in some of these maps, so there's a lot going on, but the fact that we're getting some Arctic stuff is pretty cool. So we can have a nice snowy train line, like an Alaskan train line. Maybe we can do an Alaska playthrough. But yeah, some really awesome features. Maps make or break a game, so looking forward to this one. Here is a quick screenshot as well from what looks like either an oil refinery, petroleum refinery, something like this, up in the Hour Dry theme, which looks really, really nice. We've got a nice vegetation, some hills and stuff as well. So that looks awesome. The upshot is that each environment plays very differently. So the next question is, how will the new agent-based Citizenry play into the overall gameplay of Transport Fever 3? So Sam says, we've always built our worlds with some level of agent technology in the game's population, but we've enhanced this approach to simulate a plausible world in terms of motivation for a citizen to move from one place to another. If the player does not provide a needed means of transport, the citizen will find one for themselves. While settlements are small, this may lead to light traffic that has no impact on the world, but as populations grow, traffic volumes increase, leading to settlements stagnating in their growth. If the player wants to build megacities, they're going to have to work very hard to keep those cities' populations moving effectively. So traffic is going to be a thing. You're probably going to see a lot of traffic guides, how to fix traffic, how to do this to traffic for Transport Fever 3 when it's released, because traffic looks like it's a bit more complex, and we're going to have to manage that obviously with our systems. So it's going to be more difficult to make megacities, it seems. It seems if you're not doing the right things, the growth is going to stagnate, as it says here. So keep an eye on that, that's an important one. We need to be moving effectively. How will different regions and biomes affect things like transport route maintenance? Maintenance levels are something we've always modelled, but only in the sense of how much a vehicle costs to run, and what the outward appearance is like. We've increased the impact in the new game by giving performance penalties to vehicles whose maintenance is lacking. This could be a reduction in capacity, pulling power, top speed, loading speed. Nothing good. Maintain your vehicles. The placement of maintenance facilities then becomes crucial because they're not inexpensive. On more challenging landscapes, the problems come in terms of your logistical planning more than the environment itself. Rather than a particular biome creating the need for more maintenance, what's more likely is the maintenance is harder to perform in different environments. So what that seems like to me is we're probably actually going to have maintenance facilities running alongside our tracks or in our airports, and our vehicles are going to have to go in there to be maintained and then be released back onto the route. Is that going to mean that we're going to have to purchase a lone vehicle or another vehicle while it's being maintained so that the line doesn't suffer, or do we just wait? There's a lot of questions around that, but all is very interesting, I must admit. So the next question is an important one. What kinds of new industries will we get to see in Transport Fever 3? We've introduced offshore industries for the first time, which we saw in the trailer, of course. These not only have a requirement for shipping to transport the products back to land, but to get the best from them, it will need to carry workers out to those industries, which what I believe would be the helicopter we saw flying to the oil rig in the trailer, fishing farms, sand excavators and oil platforms. You then need to consider those effects in time criticality on the goods you're bringing in. Remember that I said about your stinky warehouses at the start of the video? This is going to be why. In the past, you've been able to allow mountains of goods to build up at transport interchanges, but not anymore. Warehousing will help to some degree, but you'll need to fundamentally change your thinking order to move products to their final destination in a timely fashion. Also added many more industries to the game that settlements will demand as they grow larger, and that too will be dictated by the environmental settings. You have different industries depending on your map, and many won't be founded until your demand for them exists. So, the key thing there is perishable goods. Like real life, if you leave fish sat in a warehouse time and time and time, it's going to rot, it's going to stink, it's going to be disgusting. So you're going to have to focus on not stacking up your warehouses and getting those goods sent to where they need to be in a timely fashion. Otherwise, not only is your warehouse going to absolutely stink of rotten fish, but you're going to lose out so much money. You're going to be producing these goods and not moving anywhere, which is just throwing away money. So that's another little thing that we need to be aware of when working with certain perishable goods. Here is a picture of what appears to be the sand excavator, which will be, in my lack of knowledge of sand excavation, but it makes sense that they're pulling sand up from the bottom of the sea, putting it in here, putting it into these boats, and the boats are taking it where it needs to be. But that looks pretty cool. They just say the result of this is significant need to evolve your plans as the world changes. It very much changes the way you'll think about the game over the long term. And there's the quote, we've introduced offshore industries for the first time. But this is an interesting one that I know a few of you have had an eye on. How have the tools to put down routes, like routes or rail lines, evolved over the course of the franchise? So they have, very much so. Our major driving thought is to reduce friction in gameplay. Our goal is for players to understand an objective, then plan and tackle that objective without the tools ever getting in the way. I want to build a passenger express train service between two cities, for example. You know you'll need stations at both ends, track linking them together, capacity for as many services as you want, maintenance for all those services. The challenge should come from the planning aspect of pulling all of this together, not fighting track laying or signalling, creating junctions, parallel lines or creating space for later expansion. The tools should always be an extension of your thought process as a player and not a hindrance. Interesting. We were successful in creating a suite of tools to allow the functionality with the original game in the series, so since then we've worked to make it more flexible and, for those who want it, simpler to use. We've added continuous track laying in the new game, making 2-click routes possible. So what that appears to me is you don't have to lay the track down, so you can just click one station, click another station, and then the track will automatically build itself based on what space is available in that route. But obviously that isn't for everyone. That's not my kind of thing. It might be when I'm feeling lazy, but usually it's not. So yeah, it says it's not for everyone. So we've introduced it alongside the options of granularity that existing players are familiar with. So we're still going to be able to build our own lines, so do not worry. But that is a cool feature, so we'll certainly test it out. Whether we like it or not, who knows. Another thing is we've also extended what is possible when working with roads. Far more choice now exists. That should greatly aid traffic management, a must in the later game. Light rail has been extended further to provide a greater selection of options for how to tackle those planning objectives. So if we're going back to when they were discussing the traffic management in larger cities, now that the roads and stuff has been expanded, we can use those expansions as well as light rail to assist ourselves in managing the traffic. And last but not least, obviously Transport Fever 3 is releasing on console as well. They haven't finalised the FPS or resolution just yet, but it is confirmed that they are launching on console and PC simultaneously. So that's good news, unlike our other city building game, which has not done that. So that is the end of the article. Just disclaimer, these are Transport Fever 2 screenshots from my playthrough games that I've taken myself just to finish off the video. Yes, to recap, there's a lot of new features, a lot of cool things going on. Some really awesome stuff packed in there. What I want to know is what feature you are most excited about. Just comment that down below because I want to know. For me, I'm most excited about landmarks. That's my thing. I want to know what's going to happen with the landmarks. Obviously, there are loads of stuff in there like player reputation contracts and things like that. So we're looking forward to seeing all of the changes in the near future. But yeah, let me know your thoughts when more Transport Fever 3 news comes out. I will do my best to make some videos just summarising it all for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.